This is very important to understand, because to be a Muslim means that we are submitting ourselves, we have surrendered ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to my desires, not to my culture, not to my parents, not to my tribe, not to the ideas prevalent in society. No. Being Muslim means I willingly choose to obey Allah and submit myself to God. And how do I do that? By following the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. This is the essence of Islam. Brothers and sisters, this means Islam is what we can call tawfiqiyya. It is based upon guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot invent for ourselves and imagine for ourselves how to worship Allah. You can't do that. It is not permissible. Worshipping Allah is based upon the guidance of the Quran and the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this is the case with every other prophet and every other guidance that Allah gave. That is the case with the guidance that Allah gave to Isa ibn Maryam, to whom Allah sent the Injil. But the religion of Isa was Islam, the same religion as the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the guidance that Allah gave to Musa, to Moses, was in the form of the Torah. This was the book that Allah gave to Musa. But the religion that Musa followed and the religion that he taught his people to follow was not different in its essence. It was also Islam, willing submission to the will of God. So the guidance of all the prophets was based upon this. And Allah also sent guidance to Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah mentions Prophet Ibrahim a lot in the Quran. In fact, he is mentioned, my dear brothers and sisters, as a great example and a very important example for us to follow. In fact, the Quran tells us, who abandons the way of Ibrahim except a person who has lost their mind? Who would abandon the way of Ibrahim? Ibrahim Hanifan, the one who surrendered himself to God and who followed the natural religion, submission to God. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that every child is born upon the fitrah, Hanifan, naturally inclined to worship Allah alone. It is only their environment that takes them away from that. It is the influences from outside that take them away from that nature upon which they were born.